evening, everybody. Welcome to another week of Dilem-Monday. It is the 9th of June. Nice. But I guess the unfortunate news I do want to, just before we get into anything too heavily, I do want to acknowledge and mention the passing of. I don't think we would be doing any service other than to say the passing of a giant, of a master of his craft.
Oh my God!
A guy who, I'm trying to. Okay, do not interrupt me while I'm in the middle of something. Number one. Number two, I'm trying to figure out for Chris what's going on.
He's here.
He can't hear anything though.
I wish I had any idea what you're saying.
Yeah. He can hear us. We can't hear him. So I'm starting this one more time. I want to acknowledge the passing of a giant, an icon, and a guy who changed a ridiculous amount in the world of music and the world at large, and that was Mr. SLY STONE. In it, coming out of a world that all of 4 years prior didn't have the Civil Rights Act, to come out 4 years later on the Woodstock stage, a band, black guys, white guys, men, women, in one perfect union, there to get everyone there to get down and have a good time and have everyone have fun, as opposed to elicit evil and cause hell and chaos. That's what SLY STONE was there for. He had his demons, he had his troubles and his problems, and in life he saw the highs and the lows of them, and he fought, and he did. In the end, he died clean. He died happy and on the way back up and about. So that's all I really wanted to mention with him. He was a hero.
Clean and happy.
He was talking about it. He just finished his memoir.
Okay.
So yeah, no, a huge a deal of love and acknowledgement to the absolute powerhouse that is SLY STONE.
Okay. Is from the couple of songs that I heard today, because I won't lie, I wasn't too familiar with him. The couple of songs I heard, they were fun songs, honestly. Like, they were very upbeat, very out there, but I guess I'll learn more about his music. And that's the unfortunate thing that I learned: when musicians die, I feel like I listen more of their music after they die.
Yeah, there is a whole thing about that, and I've noticed the same thing too. Even, and obviously with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as well, with the bands that I didn't know as well, and when artists die, yeah, there's this unfortunate resurgence for some of these artists. Like, where was this while they were alive? And I'm guilty as all hell as some of these people. Like, you know what? I recently got into the band The Tragically Hip from Canada, and the fact I got into them all of 10 years after the death of Gord Downie, it's like sad. It's like I missed it. I missed something that was so real in my lifetime.
It was for Canadians. Nobody in America listened.
Well, you're just lame.
I think our youth is
the United States, because none of us listened to that. Now, I'll admit, I like one of the songs that you play solo now, but like I said, they really, I never even heard of them living in New York. And I'm not saying I was the biggest music fan in the world and knew everybody, but to make them like this giant group, there just wasn't in the United States. In Canada,
that has nothing to do with what I was saying, but okay.
I know, but they only had like 39 million people in the whole entire country.
You're missing the point, though, of the whole thing was that I got into this band after the lead singer died, and they made a documentary about him. That's the point James was making. The whole thing that he was saying was the fact that it's kind of sad that sometimes we get into these things after the ship left.
I think it's our youths pretty much showing too, because we're very unfamiliar with their music because we're only almost 30 years old. I mean, this happened way back in the 70s and 80s, where clearly we weren't around.
Yeah, no, it's sad that, yeah, like an artist, especially SLY, he was, for a moment, you know, coming out of Woodstock, coming out of that, they had giant records. Like, they had huge hits. Sly and the entire family Stone. Without Sly, Sly was this perfect in between rock and roll and soul and funk. And on the one hand, I don't think you have as much groove from groups like the Talking Heads. I don't think that you get to see as much soul and insanity out of some of these artists that tried to do it. Watch how they did it. And then on the other hand, you got guys like Prince, who doesn't turn into, the rock and roll animal I think that he was without Sly. But yeah, that's enough Sly talk for the evening. Have we figured Chris out? That's the question.
Well, I guess he could hear there. It looks like.
Finally can. This is amazing. I switched devices.
There we go. I also know that the StreamYard just made it more easier to use with iPhones and whatnot and mobile devices, which apparently it's not as good as they said.
Apparently not.
But yeah.
Your earphones are on backwards, by the way, Corey.
No, that's just
switch it.
No, that's the
it's choking your neck. Yes.
If I'm not choking, I'm fine. Listen, I'm not David Carradine. I'm fine.
He went there.
It's a lot better that way.
Would it have been better that way than just, the cable just casually, making me look like a Girl Scout?
I just, whatever. Annoying. I was going to say.
I learned from the best.
Sorry your mother's been so horrible to you. But in any case, so we had a fun weekend this weekend, and we got very wet, but we did have a really cool bass player jump in at the last minute, somebody who ended up learning like 36 songs in a period of maybe 36 hours. Mr. Chris Spada was a hero this weekend.
So, Chris, welcome back, and thank you. Welcome back to Dilem-Monday.
Yes.
Well, thanks for having me again.
So, did everybody in your
Dude,
family, like, you probably just locked yourself in a room for like 36 hours learning these songs?
No, I don't have a room to do that in this house, so I did it in the kitchen.
So, apologies to your wife from us.
Yeah. There were headphones being used most of the time.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's the hardest song to learn.
Yes. I'm going to go with Sledgehammer because I was trying really hard to learn Tony Levin's part, and then you guys don't do it that way at all.
Guilty.
I probably practiced, I'm going to throw a number out there, 20 hours over those couple of days. And I'd say at least 3 of those hours were to that one song.
Oh, no. And that was the first song we played.
Yeah. And that's why I worked so hard on it. I'm like, this is an iconic freaking bass line. I'm going to nail this. And I would have.
Oh, my God. So, yeah, we had this crazy weekend. I'll go back to like what was going on that day. But so we had 3 gigs in a period of 24 hours, pretty much.
Ugh,
It was hell.
3 different lead guitar players. The first night we had Sweet Pete jumped in. Second, we had Schultze, who's usually always there. And then we had Ryan Newman jumping in for the gig that Chris did. Now, on the third gig, not only did we have a different guitar player, but Ryan plays with us a lot, so he knows all the songs. Then we brought Chris in. It's only the second gig I think Jack has missed in 5 years. So, like, no pressure on Chris at all. Especially Michael's playing drums, and Mike and Jack are just in sync, like completely. And so Chris had a lot of pressure. So that was amazing that you went through that as well as you did. You came out of there walking and smiling. It was good.
I survived.
So
hopefully we didn't scare you off too far.
No,
Yeah.
I'm inspired now.
There we go. I was going to say, Friday, so it rained for these 24 hours off and on. And it seemed like every time it rained the hardest, whenever it was time to take all the equipment out of the truck to wherever we were playing. And then it would rain even harder when the gig was over to put it back in the truck. All 3 gigs. It was just, we couldn't have any luck at all with that. So Friday night was super interesting. We played at a private school. It was a lot of fun, but we really didn't have an audience in front of us. We had a very large audience, but not near us. They put us in this magnificent theater that was beautiful, phenomenal acoustics, everything. But they were having a party with the doors open with like food trucks and stuff like that. So and a few people came in and stuff like that, and a lot of little kids
out of like pity and mercy, but that was cool.
No, they were dancing, they had fun, and it sounded terrific. Like everybody loved it. And through the night, some people would sit in and just check out the theater, but for the most part, these are people that hadn't seen each other in some cases in 50 years. It was like a 50-year alumni reunion. So, they want to talk, but it was a cool night. We had fun, but we had to get up super early in the morning the next day. We didn't get home until after midnight. The next morning, it's Bike and Beers, Two Roads Brewery. And we try to get there, what, Corey, about 9:00?
Yeah, just about. Might have even been a minute or two earlier.
Yeah, so we get there at like 9 a.m. So we have to leave the house at like 7:45 to make sure that we're there on time.
And by the way, at this point, we have now changed plans that morning already 3 times.
Yes.
Are we going to be indoors? Are we going to be outdoors? Are we going to be indoors at the Two Roads Brewing Company?
So originally, as we're driving, they said, "Hey guys, we're not taking any chances." There we go. Look at that. Two roads over there as well. They said, "We're going indoors." Like, that kind of sucks, but all right, let's go indoors. I mean, and indoors here is fun, but there's 1,000 people riding in this bike ride, right? So usually this is one of the most fun bike and beer tours. Everybody comes. They have a beautiful yard to sit in. Just as we get there, he said, "You know what? The weather's looking a little better. Would you guys mind going under the tents?" He goes, "I'll set up a second tent to put your stuff and the one tent over the stage that we built. What do you think?" We're like, "Yeah, we'll take the shot.
We'll do it."
Which we were happy to do because we wanted to play in front of people, but we had to then move all the stuff. And we had the nicest guy who did bring his little cart truck over to help us move some of the stuff. Which
he was
great.
even willing to use the full pallet truck, even like the pallet puller.
Yeah. But he helped us. We got it all set up. Believe it or not, it all got, as the riders finished their ride, the skies got a little blue. And we were able to do the show, and we had a blast until, guess what? It was time to clean up.
Oh, boy.
Shocking!
And it was just, the cleanup was dreadful. I was soaked. I was so wet. But I kept as dry as I could the electronics, obviously. And we piled it all in, and we got it in. I was not a happy camper, to say the least. I was mad at everybody in the band for not helping me enough. And whatever, we got it done. We figure at this point, because it's now raining pretty hard, that the second gig is going to be canceled. Now I'm feeling bad. Wow, we just made Chris learn all these songs. Ryan had gotten rained out from a gig that we helped him get that same day. Like, we're feeling terrible, but at the same time, I am soaking wet. I changed shirts to another shirt, but my socks are wet. Everything's wet. But they said, you know what? We think the weather report's looking like it's going to be okay about the time you play. So we get there.
Oh, yay.
It's raining. It's raining. And Chris, you'll attest to it. It was like a pond in front of the stage.
Yeah.
Right? It was soaked.
I was watching frogs on lily pads.
It was cute.
Crazy. We set up, and just like the other shows, it stops raining just as we're ready to play. Everything works. A lot of people show up. Chris's parents came, which was really nice.
That was awesome.
Yeah, no, and it was a really good show. There were people there the whole time. They stayed. There was like a baseball thing or soccer thing going on, and Bishop's Orchard, great place to go watch an event. We're probably going to play there again in July. Super nice people. Cider is terrific. The beer was good. The food was good. So highly recommend it. We had a treat. We had Chris, we had Ryan, and anytime you get to play with Ryan Newman, that's always a special moment. Ryan is just a phenomenal player. Yeah. And he made things fun. And so, and then when you get to see, there you go. That's a picture. Look at that. Peter Hunter from Driving Iris sent me this, like, what are you kidding? No, man.
Can you text me that picture, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
It actually did dry up, and they brought some squeegees like they do at the tennis matches, like at the U.S. Open and stuff. Like they tried, and but it did work out, and we had a really good time. And considering Ryan and Chris have never played before together, ever. Chris never played with Corey or Mike before. How tight was it, Chris?
I was very happy considering all those.
How tight was it?
No, it was.
Well, first of all, Ryan just sounds like he is the best take on a studio recording in person, right there on the stage. So
it's true.
I kind of lost what I was doing a few times, going, Jesus, dude. But
the guitar
that's not fair.
Is right there.
It's like, this isn't fair.
Right? How did I end up on the stage with this guy? Thank you. By the way, I appreciate you.
And then when Corey and Ryan play Roadhouse Blues, you're not getting much better than that. I mean, Corey's wailing it on the harmonica. Ryan's railing it on the guitar. I mean, I think the night actually changed. That second set was really, really good. And luckily the owner came in the second set. She's like, yeah, I heard you guys kind of let go a little bit. Cause at the beginning they had told us, there's a lot of little kids there, watch the music that you play, try to, of course, Mike yells out cocaine. So Corey changed it to propane.
Which by the way, how excited are we about the new season of King of the Hill?
Wait, what?
Oh
yeah, it's getting renewed. Yeah.
For the first, it's been like what, 15 years, 10 years since the original?
Something like that. I mean, it's going to be a little different since one of the actors literally just got murdered like not that long ago.
And that's a horrible story. It's horrible. I'll get too upset on the air if I start going off on that one, but yeah, no, kindness speaks volumes, people, and being ignorant and stupid is just not becoming of any human. That's all I'm going to say about that. But especially in the month of June. But with that all in mind, yeah, no. So the premise of this new reboot, it's been like 10 years or something. Hank and Peggy had been in Saudi Arabia because of the propane. So they're living there. Bobby becomes a chef or something, and it's they had moved away from Arlen and moved back to Arlen, and that's where we are in this new season.
Wow.
Which is great.
Okay.
That's Mike Judge always delivers. I think he is one of the few guys who has always had a hard punching commentary in his stuff. He's always been funny. He's always been on point. Has anyone seen his country music documentary, the animated country music documentary he did, Tales from the Tour Bus?
Nope, I have not.
So, I think I want to say it was either Showtime or HBO. But I could be wrong. It could have been like Stars or something. But yeah, he gets a lot of these older country musicians to talk about a particular artist, and he like interviewed each of them, and then he animates not just the interview but the stories they're telling. So there's a great episode about George Jones and Tammy Wynette and the shenanigans that ensue. The episode about Jerry Lee Lewis made me hurt from the inside because I couldn't stop laughing. Insane. There was an episode about James Brown. That was also like,
James Brown is just an interesting guy.
Mr. Brown.
I thought that movie, what's his name? He died, the actor. Get on up! No, what was it? The Chadwick
Boseman?
Yeah. What an amazing job he did in every movie he was in. I mean, for such a short life, he had like 4 or 5 films in a row that was just so good.
I know the other week we briefly
we talked about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like in the same
every
vicinity
time,
as the guy who did, John Cazale. That's the
John Cazale. Exactly. He's like the John Cazale of our generation. Like, yeah, no.
Yeah, the difference was he was the star, where Gazelle wasn't the star.
Touche.
Right? I mean, he was a supporting actor in the movies that he had greatness in. But, you know, Jackie Robinson, James Brown, the Black Panther.
Thurgood Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I want to be his agent. I mean, his agent, I mean, geez. He got him some phenomenal.
Yeah.
You're talking about between the 3 actual people and the Black Panther there in the canon of, like, you know, great African Americans and great African American characters. This man hit every one of them.
Yeah, I mean, can you do better?
Every one of them.
Thurgood Marshall and James Brown. I mean, I don't know how James fits in, but he was still one of the greatest of all time. Obviously, I'm just like, you have the 2 pure and good, and you have James, but you know, and then he's the first real African American superhero. Yeah, which was just so cool. I mean, and then this amazing guy gets taken from us like that. Like, here he is and here he's not. Like, that was just so mean. Yeah. Like, but tremendous movie. And James Brown. Corey, you know, the other thing about James Brown that always I remember was that clip you showed me with Prince
and
Michael Jackson. How awkward was that?
Also, one of the few times where Michael Jackson was really a dick. Like, he really screwed. Like, Prince was not a guy that he was one of the greatest guitarists who ever lived, but he's not a let me just go up and jam with you guys guitarist. Like, he could put down a solo like no one's business, but he was a guy that wanted to use his guitar and his stuff. And Michael had known James Brown for like since the time he was a little kid. And with that in mind, he decides to mess with Prince because the two of them hated each other. Prince and Michael, there was bad blood between them. I think Prince tried to run over Michael in his car one time. That's a whole other story. But Michael whispers to James Brown's ear, "Hey, James, you know, Prince is here. You should let Prince on stage. Prince is so good, James. Let Prince on stage. Mr. Brown, let James on. Let Prince on." And James Brown, in his James Browniness, It's like, what are that? Let a great legend, Prince. Wow, you're Prince, Prince, and like Prince just
Didn't
the
guy carry
color.
that
Yes.
big monster. He had that bodyguard. He was like this giant monster.
Yeah, he got carried onto the stage on the shoulders of his bodyguard, takes the guitarist's guitar, lays out his solo that's just not the vibe, and had it been anybody else, everyone would have been like, whoa. But this was Prince, and Prince was cocky and like in the best way. I think Prince did asshole so
better
much
than anyone. He was a total asshole.
He was the best, but it was good. He wouldn't have been. I don't think his magnificence.
I'm a giant Prince fan.
His magnificence would have never come out the right way.
You know, when it comes down to maybe the most talented ever of anything, Prince is probably the guy I would tell you. But he was such a jerk. You know, he was just a bad person overall. But he was a perfectionist. Corey and I got to see Jimmy Jam at the NAMM.
Jimmy Jam of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis of the Time fame.
And he talks about Prince was just he was horrible to work for and deal with. He goes, he made him better. Like anybody ever worked with Prince, you became a better musician. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. But he was a taskmaster. He just, okay, that's one way. I need you to put a second hand on. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. To the point where it's amazing someone just didn't punch him in the face. But at the end of the day, he made you better. But he's that coach that you hate. And he fired Jimmy Jam too, eventually, right?
Oh yeah, no, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, yes, eventually got fired from the Time because they tried to produce for somebody and tried to not let Prince know that this happened, and that's not smart.
Well, they also showed up late to.
Well, yeah, they didn't, and it wasn't their fault even.
Right, but they showed up late to the gig, and
and Prince just wasn't having it. And even though, again, the Prince universe, the Prince cinematic musical universe, there, was very weird because he wasn't in the Time, but he was kind of their manager and kind of their musical director. But so were Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, and then there was the Apollonia 6, and there was the family, the whole Prince universe. It's expansive and wild and colorful. Though I do have to say, every time I hear about the Time, the one thing I unfortunately do think about is Jay and Silent Bob and their obsession for Morris Day and the Time. The greatest band of all time, Morris Day and the Time.
Actually, Chris, quick question. How old were you or do you remember when Purple Rain came out?
I do remember. I was an adolescent. I did not see the movie until my mid-20s, though.
Okay.
And
Me
I'm
too.
pretty sure
I was in my 20s when I came out. So, but
not that different in age, dude.
I'm 60.
You're my wife's age.
There you go. But when I saw that movie, I thought he was like, I was like, this guy's just on a whole, just like watching Ryan, just a different playing field, just thinks differently, just.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw the second movie. It was such a disappointment. It was
under the cherry moon.
Yeah, it was dreadful. Do you know? Did you ever see the second one?
No.
Don't. It'll destroy Purple Rain for you because you're like, yeah, no, never ever see it. Promise me you won't. Seriously.
You have my word.
Like,
Under the Cherry Moon, huh?
Yeah, it was.
I will admit I have never seen the movie because you told me it was just that bad.
No, it is. And Purple Rain was so good. And, you know, I think, and I think that he did this a few times where he believed his own bullshit about how great he was, and he thought he could just do anything. And the more obscurely stupid it was, you know, he believed his own genius after a while. You know, like when he changed his name to a symbol and like the other stupid crap he would do sometimes. But again, that also made the genius of his whole persona. But yeah, no, that movie, he took it to just stupid. You know, it's not like the Beach Boys and what's the album that the record company said don't you ever release. I mean, you know, which actually is genius.
Oh yeah. Oh, with Smile with the Beach Boys.
Yeah. Right.
Smile.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not like Smile where it actually is genius and good, like where they tried to do something amazing and the world wasn't ready for it. No, Cherry Moon is the worst movie. It is terrible. You know, Suddenly Seeking Susan is better than that movie. And that's a terrible movie with Madonna. It's just dreadful. So yeah, no. Actually, James, question on this. Was there ever a movie that you saw after you saw the great movie and that actor that you thought was so phenomenal, all of a sudden you go see the second movie and you're like, oh.
Are we talking like just like sequels or something like that?
Sequels or just an actor
Follow-up.
himself or an actress.
A follow-up film.
Not even a follow. Well, you follow up or anything, but you were so excited because you saw this actor actress in the first movie, and then you saw him in another movie, and you said, "Oh, this sucks." Wow.
I'm trying to think of. I mean, the first thing I could think about is Godfather Part 3 with like Al Pacino and like with Sofia Coppola. Like that was like just dreadful almost.
So wait, here's okay. You all know that The Godfather 1 and possibly Godfather 2 might be the greatest movies I've ever seen. Okay, like you all know that I love the Godfather movies.
Of course.
Okay.
I think Godfather 3, had it not been compared to 1 or 2, is not that terrible. I feel it's very watchable. I like the movie. It just is not even in the same league as the other two. You have all-time great with good. And that's a giant.
I will say this. I know a lot of people trash Godfather 3 because obviously it's not 1 or 2. Right. But compared to the movies that are out there today, it's not bad.
Thank you. That's my point.
Yeah, I know. I will agree with that. But I meant like I watched it the first time. I'm like, why did this happen? That kind of thing. How does it happen?
And Sophia was not that bad. I thought she was cute. I mean, she's not a good actress, but she was cute.
She was pretty bad. I'm sorry.
Chris, what's your opinion on this one?
There's a reason I only saw The Godfather 3 once. But again, I get the idea of what you're saying. Godfather, the book was a completely different story.
On Godfather 3?
No, the Godfather,
the original
book.
The book, the actual book. I didn't know.
If you went off of Mario Puzo's book, James Caan should have been the one playing Michael.
Yes,
he was blonde. He was tall. He was, this muscular, he was kind of a bad boy. Where Michael's a little more soft spoken in the movie. He's a little more, his fear. The fear of Michael comes from the mystery. Where in the book, he's a lot more like what Sonny is in the movie.
Mm-hmm. I think he auditioned for Michael. I think he did.
He did. Yeah, and the story that Pacino tells, I don't speak Italian. I can't drive. It was like, how the hell did they pick me for this role? What were they seeing?
So,
role. That's all I can say.
Pacino's inability to drive killed Apollonia, and Prince killed Apollonia's career.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
The best
And no,
thing-
oh, and actually, to answer, because you never asked me about Sofia
I was
Coppola.
told you next.
Oh, similarly to what happened to her in the film, Godfather 3 killed her career.
Her
Well,
father
he made
was
her a director.
of the movie.
I should be shooting things with the camera, or my career should be getting shot on the screen. Wasn't.
I
director.
thought she was cute in the movie.
She was cute, but like, and maybe again, did that kind of help with the plot that she was kind of useless, and that she was kind of.
I think a lot of people go after her because she is she's the Nepo baby. She's
Nepo babies in this case.
Right. But the whole family gets to be in all his movies, and whatever. Again, I understand Chris's point that, to only see it once. I will admit I've probably seen it 100 times also, because Lisa and I are that big of losers that we will, on like some of those Sundays, we will watch all of Godfather 1, all of Godfather 2, and then Godfather 3 just to go through the trifecta.
I have right over there, I have the Hunger Games on for the second full day in a row. So the whole
you understand.
No, it's just it's also not bad to look at. Some people in this movie.
No.
They are. See, there are lots of reasons that we.
As Prince would say, the beautiful ones.
By the way,
And
the scene in Purple Rain when he tells Apollonia, and he
that's not like Minnetonka.
That ain't like Minnetonka after she jumps in. But that was such a great scene. That was so perfect. Prince, mean, horrible dick.
Yeah, you need to cleanse yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. You know what? The smirk he has in that scene is the same smirk my grandfather had.
You're right.
Vincent Marr had a smirk. Something really bad just happened to you, and I'm too quiet to actually laugh at you, but you're an idiot. Like,
well,
and as he's saying that, like,
and then yeah, I have to keep some of these kind of secret because one person's still alive on this, so I can't. But when I was with your grandfather, we laughed over something that was just so mean. Right?
At least that was a better boat ride than Fredo's.
Yeah, that's the clue that you'll get from Gory. Which, by the way,
someone Fredo got blown up in that boat. Somebody's stomach got blown up in this boat. Good times, good times.
But I actually had something cool. So this weekend, I was so tired on Sunday after the Friday and the 24 hours, 3 shows, lifting everything, carrying everything. I got up at 5:30 in the morning, Sunday morning, to take everything out of the car because it was soaked and it would smell horrifically, right? So I had to air everything out. I got up. What did we leave at 8 o'clock or
8:15? We wanted to leave 8:30. We left 8:15.
So I don't know how the hell we did this. We drove to Long Island because it was I became a great uncle. I was only a good uncle prior to that. Now I'm a great uncle. Lisa's a great aunt, and I got to see my new uncle, my new nephew, Jackson Zopel, spelled with the Jax, Jax. So kid better be kind of cool with the name Jax. But this is how tired I was. On the way home, back to Connecticut. Very rare. I pulled over and said, Lisa, can you drive? Now, for me to do
that's a sign of concession. Like, that is rarely. I haven't witnessed this in at least 15 to 20 years.
I was like, I can't. I'm just, and it was her car. In my truck, I would have never let anybody else drive it. Okay. The Silverado.
If we were in your truck, we would have all been praying.
We might have gone to a hotel for a few hours.
Okay. As to not end up like Apollonia or any of these people.
But yeah, no, I was tired. it was a long weekend. But it was worth going to see my boy Jax. Jax was cool. So tiny. little thing.
Little baby.
You gotta talk it to the mic.
He's a little nothing baby.
Yeah.
Little guy.
A tiny little dog is twice the size of him. It was kind of funny. But
The dog you could tell loves the baby. Oh, it's so cute. Dog makes sure that no one's too close.
you
No
know,
one's tiny little thing.
By the way, James,
Yeah.
do you know who's still in first place and actually built our lead this week? We won like 17-2 this week.
Damn. The fact that Rodon was horrible yesterday, man.
You know, yes, but we had such a lead going into it that it didn't matter. We 28 club, yes. And by the way, that was this team that was in second place that had overtaken us the 1 week. So it was 1 versus 2 last week. They're now down to 4. They moved into 4th place because we kicked their ass so bad.
Damn.
So for those who are regular listeners to this show, James and I at 10 or 11, 12 weeks ago picked a fantasy baseball team
Live on the air.
live on air while Corey and Cliff were giving a tour of the studio.
That's right. Yes.
That was a fun episode.
That was great. Like that one felt so cool. It was like, and we're dropping back in on Craig and James. What's up? What's going on? And I had really good timing that day because I would always cut to you guys just before your turn, so we would actually get to witness the actual pick, which was awesome.
Chris, do you ever deal with fantasy sports or fantasy baseball, basketball, any of those things?
Nope.
Zero interest. Well, you know what? And here's the thing: you don't even have to like sports to do fantasy stuff because it's really more about mathematics.
Oh, so fun! Yay!
No, but it's about statistics and things like that. It's all about numbers, which
I'm
is
just
why
saying.
I'm good at it and like it.
Again, I know you've had an entire career on sales, and I'm not questioning your ability as a salesman, but your selling point of, oh, it's not really about the sports, it's about math.
Well, it's about math.
Well, okay, that gets me actually.
Oh, damn it.
Let me tell you something about fantasy. When people do the March Madness brackets, the people that always end up on top are the ones that do not watch it at all.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like a sign of luck or something like that.
I learned about this in the later 90s from a female boss of mine who was kicking everyone's ass in fantasy football. And I'm like, I didn't know you were that into football. She goes, I don't watch that. I went, wait, what? She goes, yeah, it's all math. So I've known for a very, very long time that it's not about the fans. It's about the people that look at the stats, know what they're looking at, figure that out. I also know from around that period, that's the same thing with horse race betting, and which I was not good at either.
No, see, these are all things. If I'm going to gamble,
I love math. Math's cool.
Yes.
Screw you.
Yeah, I
see you,
like,
Corey. Up there, I think that there. Yeah.
But I like horse racing because it's the one gambling thing that I can do well in. Stock market, I've always done very, very well in the stock market because it's all about math, numbers, and logic. And I understand that. Same thing with fantasy sports. Before Lisa and I moved to Connecticut, I had worked at a company, Standard Register. We sold business forms, and Lisa worked for a company called Hirschman. And I was really paying attention to the NFL at this point, where I don't really care that much anymore because the Giants have stunk for the last decade, so I just don't care. But at that point, I watched every game and I knew what was going on. And Lisa and I won her pool and my pool because we bet on all the same stuff because she would come home and we'd talk about it. We went 16 weeks in a row and won every single game. Do you know how to be the most hated person in an office? Win 16 weeks in a row. And you will be the most hated person in the office. Every week I was bringing home $200 and $300 from the week's pool. I actually left the company right after football season too. Ironically enough, Lisa won the whole Hirschman Prize too. So thank God for football that year. It made our life so good, and we were newly married at the time too. So every penny counted. It was good times. But I love fantasy sports, especially baseball, because it's just all math. And and this league, it's all about points and categories. So it really doesn't matter about the players. The players are, in fact, the more you know about the players, the more it'll probably hurt you. You just need to know what the stat is.
It's why I don't want to bet on the horse racing. I love watching the horse racing. I've said it a million times. There are few things that are as exciting as watching man and beast in perfect union accomplishing something like this. And just when you don't understand the thud when you have the hooves of these horses coming by you, especially when you're by the track. It's like any machine rumbling by you. Their hooves just going, the dirt coming out of the ground. It's absolutely invigorating. Few things as exciting as a horse race.
Since we're talking horse racing, thoughts on calling the Belmont Stakes when it's not in Belmont?
And because there's no cows involved.
I've been to Belmont Raceway many times.
Me too.
Why are they calling it the Belmont Stakes when it's not there? Be
Because
real.
Mr. Belmont owned the state. He owned it. It was the Belmont family.
Damn it.
Actually, speaking of horses doing incredible feats and other exciting things, James, you had a fun and exciting weekend, and I don't want to detract from your podcast of views, but tell us about your weekend.
On Sunday, for the first time ever, I went to the Goshen Stampede.
Oh,
which I never even thought about ever going in my life, because I've never been that kind of person. But I got sucked into going. I went on Sunday. I went with my co-host. I went with my best friend and a couple of coworkers from work, and it was actually a lot of fun. I had a good time with all that.
Cody?
What?
Did you see Cody Bondra?
I did not see Mr. Bondra.
If Cody 6'6",
if Cody Bondra was doing his job well as he should have been, he shouldn't have been noticed.
Sorry, I didn't notice a very tall, lanky, large man at the Stampede.
Man.
Well, probably not, because he was working as the stage manager, and the stage manager should never be actually on the stage.
Well, his band played there too, but not on Friday. I mean, he played on Friday, I think.
Oh, no, I was there on Sunday. I was there yesterday. No,
yeah, well, then you wouldn't have seen him play. But he was stage managing Sunday.
But no, it was the first thing I noticed when going to the rodeo is smelling the horse shit. That's the first waft I got when I was there. It was so pungent beyond belief. And then I had to sit my ass on on a metal bench for 2 hours. It hurt very much, but it was a lot of fun.
hay? You didn't sit on the hay?
It was so uncomfortable. But despite the negatives, I had a good time being able to experience all that and seeing all the different kinds of events that they have. I had a great time there.
That's great. No, I've been to 2 rodeos, I think, in my life. I went to one at the Polo Grounds once in Farmington.
Oh.
I'm Polo Grounds.
I was like, you're not that old. I was like,
no, not the Brooklyn Polo Grounds, the Farmington Valley Polo Grounds.
That makes sense. That took me a
Actually,
second.
believe it or not, it was Kevin Brandt and Karen Brandt that were with Mom and I to go see that.
This, for reference, was my father's best man at his wedding.
Yes. And one of his wives.
See, I'm trying to be political and kind and polite. If you want to, again, if you want to run the laundry and air everyone's out, go ahead, right there for you.
Well, he's happily with someone now, and he's not married, so there you go. It's better this way. But we did go to a rodeo together. That was an incredibly fun, interesting thing. Alicia was supposed to go with Kyle when they were there 2 weeks ago, but they ended up. Well, they stayed in Austin an extra day, right? So that they didn't go to Dallas to go see the rodeo.
Which is so lame.
Why? You would have stayed in Austin too.
Listen, that whole rodeo thing, especially like a big one down in like where, yeah, the Goshen Stampede is probably magnificent, but can you imagine the Dallas-Fort Worth, rodeo scene? Fort Worth is like the last cowboy city in America.
3 6s. I'm a Yellowstone fan. Yes, I am.
Look at you.
I love Yellowstone. What a great show that was. I can't wait for the new episodes to come out of the new
spin-off
stuff. Yeah. Think of that. I still go back that I love the pandemic, and I'm leading to something here. It's not just going off crazy.
Right. Okay.
Because the pandemic gave me the opportunity to watch shows that I never would have watched. And I got into watching entire series at a time during the pandemic. Come on, you guys, Chris, you must have done that.
No, I played a lot of guitar.
That's right. Well, Guitar Center had the greatest comeback of all time. The pandemic was the greatest thing for guitar salespeople, was it not?
It's true. Yeah. How many
Corey
people
spent
bought
at least $6,000 with you.
I was gonna say I stimulated the economy. God damn it! I did my Patreon.
You bought the Gibson SG. You bought the
Fender
from him. You bought
I know. In general, again, I was a patriot. I did my job as an American. I did not put my stimulus money in and just keep it in my bank account. No, I bought from American companies, from American distributors with American products. God bless America, baby. I was here. I made it. I helped make this happen. We came back, baby.
I'm watching Tommy Boy right now with Dan Aykroyd. American products, American.
Which is so funny because he's a Canadian.
I use my stimulus money to pay a local guy to rewire my basement. So that's
there we go.
My house.
Chris Spada, American patriot.
Yeah.
Stimulated the American economy.
We spent a lot of time with Chris during the pandemic. We were always there buying crap.
Because it was the one place you were allowed to go.
Exactly.
No matter what Bill Burr says about Guitar Center.
Oh my God! Did you see that thing from Bill Burr?
No. What do you say
Corey,
about?
if you could play that. And Chris, it's. He is insulting you. I have to say that at the time.
I do love Bill Burr though. He's probably one of my favorite comedians.
I'm gonna be chugging this while that's playing. So if somebody can find it.
I tried to send it this morning to all my favorite guitar players and musicians, and evidently some of the things I sent out did not go through this morning. But Corey, you found it?
I'm making it happen.
You are making it happen.
I will at least provide us with audio.
All right. Well, are we almost there?
Yep.
All right. Well, I will give you the #1 place to see sad men, Guitar Center. Oh my God. One of the saddest places on earth. Failed, struggling musicians behind the counter. a bunch of men in loveless marriages or divorced just walking around looking at the guitars. Is that a custom color? Is it? Maybe if I add that to my collection, it'll fill up whatever this void is in the center of my chest. All right, well, I will give.
He's not lying.
No, he's not.
He's not
And I
wrong.
hate it.
Yeah,
Oh,
you got to send that to Chris so he can see the actual video. I watched that this morning. I couldn't stop laughing.
Why don't you send it to me too? I can use that to laugh before I go to bed tonight. He's not wrong though.
No, he's one of the, and I love him. He is so fucking funny. I mean, so funny.
So many of those sad men are so nice, though.
They really are. Heads, I love you so much.
You know,
Right, I'll be right back.
The pandemic. We're still talking.
so we are frequent visitors to Guitar Center. Obviously, we in fact we go to Guitar Centers in all states because we want to see if there's something different. If there's that mismarked bass that is just sitting there and saying, "Please buy me," or the unbelievable. The guy just brought the thing in and you just buy it right then and there when Guitar Center, gives him less than half of what it's worth. And then can we have it? Can we buy it? So we go to Guitar Centers every place in the United States, wherever we travel, we go.
You don't do that.
We don't do that.
No. I want the audience to know that does not happen at Guitar Center.
You always just get the best product at the best price at all times. And if you do see Chris, you will get the best.
Unless
By
it's
the
a
way,
guitar stand. You want to sell me a guitar stand, you're going to get $1. I'll sell it for $5.
Yeah, right.
That's less than half, right?
But you noticed his podcast. Do you know who sold us our podcaster? There he is, right there, Chris Spada. We don't have the podcast without the podcaster sold to us by Chris. And that is the second one he has sold to us. We had the original podcaster. And now we have the second podcaster. There are many things in our house that are related to directly through Chris. Of the 102 guitars that are in this house, there's at least 15 that have some Chris Spada areas on there.
And whether you loved or hated 2010 to 2019 and the ukulele revolution that happened during it, Chris Spada made that happen in the Northeast.
Listen.
Yeah, there was a ukulele right there.
There it is.
I'm not shocked.
That wasn't on purpose. That was
That's
right.
Now, are you of the George Harrison level that there's 3 or 4 ukuleles just sitting in the trunk of your car at any given moment for when there might need to be?
Not anymore. Not that. Well, I'll tell you this. It's actually surprising that I did not have a ukulele with me on Saturday.
Oh,
It kind of is.
I will literally show up to other people's shows with a ukulele because you never know.
That was always one of my favorite George Harrison stories. Like Tom Petty would like come over and be like, and George would be like, "Oh, do you want to have a ukulele jam?" He's like, "Oh, George, I don't have a ukulele." And he's like, "Oh, that's not a problem." He opens up the trunk of his car, and the trunk of the car is just filled with ukuleles.
How it should be. That's living life.
He literally had it for in it just in case moment, like, Tom Petty's over the house and like, oh, Tom wants to have a ukulele, and then he'd end up just giving them to these people.
how many ukuleles do you have, Corey?
4, 5, Four, I think.
Is that counting the ukulele bass?
Yeah.
I don't have one of those. What's wrong with me?
Oh, I could get you one. Gold tone.
Nice.
We have a tenor ukulele too, right?
Yes, we do.
Yep.
And then we have an electric ukulele and then a regular ukulele. So that's 4.
Actually, the tenor is also a
Electric, yes.
yeah.
This is my long scale 6-string baritone ukulele.
Oh.
No, it's
So
actually
it's
a warm Archmaster, but it's a guitar. So
Well, I mean, I figured. So,
it's a long scale 6-string baritone ukulele.
so what are you going to high string and a low string?
No, it's a guitar.
Oh, it's it's just I didn't know if like you had it like you had
No,
you
it's a guitar.
had it like tuned as like a
You know
cool
what
like.
baritone ukulele is, right?
Well, isn't it
The 4
Isn't it-
treble string.
yeah, right?
By the
Isn't
way,
it?
another purchase during the pandemic
no.
was the Fender semi-hollow American.
Which I don't know. I felt like this was definitely like very Sly and the Family Stone vibe.
Oh,
So I went.
it's such a
That's
good color.
the champagne.
Golden
Yeah.
champagne.
Oh, it looks green from here. Oh, now I see the champagne. That's cool.
Yeah, no, it's I think that's a great that guitar doesn't go out of tune. That's why I like that guitar. Even in like bad weather, it stays in tune.
It's like,
Why don't you play that more often?
you know, I don't know.
So I have a question. So you're the bass player at the gig on Saturday night.
Yeah.
How do you feel the antics of the front man running around doing all the things he does? Is it distracting or funny?
It's a great vibe, is what it is actually. It's I mean, there's fun and it's funny, and you know, Corey is Corey. But as a first time participant in front of a crowd, the kid knows how to communicate. And the band knows how to listen to his communication, and communicate amongst themselves. And it's very professional level in its own tiny little way. Yeah. I see your brain. But
No, that was it. No, that was a.
I know.
Oh,
Why?
I was like,
Well, you know, one of the nice things when you play with Ryan also is
right. I was about to say I had an easy group to deal with because you know what? I didn't have to say all that much on stage. Like, I didn't have to give too many. You were on, and Ryan's ready to go because you know what? He's a great frontman in his own regard too, but he is such a good sideman to the degree that you know what? He knows when he allows me to not have to do as much.
Yep.
And when he's not your main guy and he can still kind of take over the band director position for the moment, on point.
well, I think
One of the things I
go ahead, I'm
appreciate,
sorry.
I'm sorry, Craig, I got to say this. One of the things I appreciate about you, Corey, as a front man, is giving the communication time to be understood. There's a number of people that not a number, I haven't played with that many people, but some people that I played with as frontmans who like, you know, turn around and then you have to know that's when the time is. Where Corey, you're like, you turn around, you kind of like, all right, the time's coming, here's the time, as opposed to just that literal like now.
And that's and because you know what? That's one thing that I try to think. What would I want if I'm the guy playing behind it? What are the commands that I would want behind me? And yeah, I wouldn't want just like a spontaneous, just like oh god, we're going, oh god, this is happening. Like that's not good. But yeah, so like I like letting it kind of settle in.
Yeah.
Well, I was also going to say that not having Jack, who is normally obviously Corey's a front man and band leader, but Jack really controls everything else that goes on, especially with Michael. but having Ryan kind of took more of Jack's role that night.
Exactly where I was going. Exactly.
Yeah, no, that was true. So it allowed you, Chris, to play. You know, like I got my stuff down. I'm following you guys. Mike, stay on my, help me out, and we'll get this rhythm section down. And the rhythm section was solid all night long. It really was.
Hey, and by the way, Chris, if you need me to give you a little more time.
Oh,
Thank you, Corey. Thank you.
what an idiot. Just stupid.
Morris Day and the time. This should have been the Prince episode.
Craig, he's all your fault.
Yeah, listen. The worst 2 weeks I ever spent, like in life, was in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I had to go to sales training. I don't even want to mention the company. It's so dreadful. And it was the first time in my life that I actually faced someone who was, well, I mean, there's been a few times.
A genuine anti-Semite?
Yeah, it was like, look, I played sports a long time. I was called a lot of terrible names, right? But I was a good enough player that I could overcome anything. I was just better than you then, and I would beat you. But I was in a terrible situation in Minnesota where the president or vice president of the training was an outrageous anti-Semite, and he told me the minute I walked in that door, I don't like you, I don't like your kind, and I'm gonna make your life miserable. And unfortunately, I was a young, cocky kid who was just about ready to get married. And I was coming off, I was a big shot at more business forums. I was rookie of the year. I'd won all these awards. So I thought I was pretty hot shit. This guy, he beat me up for 2 weeks there. No matter what I answered, I was wrong. No matter what I said, I was wrong. The test that we were taking, he gave me a separate test than everybody else in the room. It was brutal. The cool thing was, though, the one weekend, this company had a lot of money, and it gave us, each one of the people in the sales training, a Lincoln Continental as a rental. Ooh. I went to First Avenue, which was Prince's Club. Pretty cool place. And who do I see performing there? This super cool group that was so phenomenal, called Milli Vanilli.
Oh.
Yes. It was probably one of their first, whatever. Milli Vanilli.
You saw the beginning and you were living in the state for the end.
Yes. And you know what? I had a lot of fun that night. The only two good things that whole thing was that, and I watched a Corey Feldman movie, which in itself doesn't sound good.
I met him.
Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. I'm trying to remember the movie.
The two Corys.
The two Corys were in it.
I've had, tell your meeting him story. I'll tell you my walking by him story.
He's this tall, so you know that. It was shortly after Guitar Center had reopened from the pandemic, and the supply chain was broken. And Corey Feldman and his band are on tour, and his Shure wireless microphone has broken. And he's in a panic, and they're driving up 84 on their way to Boston, and they see the sign for Guitar Center. So they say, let's turn off here and see if we can get some help. Maybe
better than the fucking store at, better than the fucking store at Fenway. Continue.
We don't have any Shure wireless microphones to offer to Corey Feldman.
For sure.
So our amazing guitar tech, Justin Miglorisi, shout out Migs. Migs is the shit. Beep. Thank you. Corey and his entourage. Well, first of all, we're not even open yet, and there's only like 3 of us there. And somebody's knocking on the door. I go over to the door. We're not open. And they're like, yeah, Corey Feldman needs a microphone. I'm like, wait, what? I see a bus outside. All right, come on in. Hey, other 2 people that are working here, Jay and Miggs. We need to take care of Corey Feldman. What do you need? I need a replacement Shure wireless microphone. You're out of luck, buddy. Well, can you fix it? Hey, Miggs, can you fix it? I don't know. I fix guitars. So they bring the microphone in. It turns out it's just a bad soldering point. So Miggs fixes it.
So now he forever gets to say, yeah, no, I've done repair work for Corey Feldman.
Exactly.
Well, didn't Andrew Sulo, he used to book Corey a few times, right?
Andrew Sulo absolutely did used to book Corey Feldman. So my Corey Feldman story is at NAMM, where where I meet musician stories all come true. And I'm walking down the floor, and again, there's like 500,000 people here. And there are some wild looking people. There are some wild outfits. And I see some short dude who I'm like, look, what the is that? Who's this dude who's trying to look like if Corey Feldman actually was Michael Jackson's child? Like there's like a woman on either arm. There's this dude in a sequined shirt roaming around, jet black hair. I'm like, dude, this bag looks like Corey Feldman. Who the does he think he is? And later that day, I'm over with my buddies at the Lee Oscar guitar booth, and my friend Erin pulls me over. She's like,
harmonica booth.
Oh, harmonica. Jesus Christ. We're talking guitars and harmonica. Lee Oscar harmonicas. You know, please don't kill me from the group. But yeah, I'm over there, and my buddy Erin, she pulls me over. She's like, you will not believe who came over here. My 90s heart was in love. Corey Feldman. I'm like, wait, that was actually Corey Feldman who walked by me? She's like, how would I know who walked by? I'm like, that was a rhetorical question. But yeah, no. So Corey Feldman looks exactly like you're imagining Corey Feldman. He was a lot taller in person than I was expecting. But which is still like tiny little manlet. But God bless him. You know what? That dude had a really up life, and know what? If he wants to go out and tour and play music, and whether it's good or not is a whole other story, but if he wants to go out there and play obnoxious guitar solos to crowds that are willing to buy the tickets, God bless you, Corey Feldman. You survived. You know what?
That.
By the way, the movie I saw was Dream a Little Dream.
Good one.
I'll just remember. By the way, when I came home from that trip, I had bronchitis at this point. Like when you're miserable, you can make yourself super sick, right? And I was miserable, and I'm supposed to be getting married at that point. Just killed the bug. In about 2 months, and I realized that my job, this super job, this giant pharmaceutical company that I got as a 23-year-old hotshot is not going well. And I will never tell you how happy I was, because this is back in the days that you could actually meet someone at the gate the minute that you walked out. I see my fiance, my beautiful Lisa, who knew just how miserable I was right then and there. And she gave me a hug and she kissed me. And you know what? I was like, fuck this stupid job. I felt so much better at that moment. I remember calling the boss the next day, and he basically said, hey, look, I've been told that I got to ride with you, and it'd be a lot easier if you just quit, because I got to write you up no matter what to get you fired. I was like, well, I guess you're going to ride with me for the rest of your life, because we're fighting words. I go to 2 or 3 hospitals with him and a few nursing homes, and everything I do, no matter what I say at this point, this guy's just ripping me. It's bad. Finally, I'm on Cross Bay Boulevard, for those of you who know the Queens and the Rockaways area. I stopped the car. It's a company car, by the way, owned by the company, with the manager sitting in the seat. I was like, dude, get the F out of the car now. If you don't get out of the car right now, I will kill you. Like, you need to leave this car. I grabbed. He's like, you're serious. Dude, you have no idea how serious I am right now. You can do whatever you want to do, but I'm going to break you if you don't get out of this goddamn car. I dropped him off in the middle of Cross Bay Boulevard in a horrible section and let him sit and rot. Yeah. Obviously, my job is not in a good position at this point. And I'm in a
As one might predict in this circumstance.
Awesome.
Yeah. I immediately go to a payphone soon thereafter and call my old company that I have only been gone for, 2 or 3 months now. And I said, can I have my old job back? And luckily, I left on such good terms that he said, I'll take you out to lunch right now if you want to come down there. And he gave me my job back at More Business Forms. So I was very, very happy. And then my dad made some phone calls to this pharmaceutical company once I let out what had happened. And my dad was a pretty powerful man to some extent. And there was a very large check that followed soon thereafter because of the situation that occurred. So we had a great wedding. Things worked out well, and life was good. I did have to give back the company car, by the way. And I got my old company car back from the other company. So things all worked out in the end. But yes, my Minnesota trip was awful. That company is no longer in existence. They're owned by other people now. But I did get to see Dream a Little Dream, and I did witness Milli Vanilli at First Avenue.
Let's dive into this for a minute.
Yes, sir.
What are your you're watching this perform? Obviously, you have no idea that this is that these two are going to make international headlines for all the wrong reasons in a course of 18 months?
Dude, I called your mother that night and said, I just saw the most amazing two singers ever. These guys were fun, and they were jumping around, and they were they were fantastic. I didn't care if they were singing or not. It was just a lot of fun. Plus, I had a few drinks. I was miserable, and I got to see these two dudes who put on this fantastic show. And then as I see them,
girl,
great.
You know it's true.
It was great songs. It was so much fun. And then I start seeing them. I'm like, dude, I saw those guys. And then to have their demise, as horrible as it was, at Lake
in
Compounds,
Bristol, Connecticut, at Lake Compounds,
where they get caught lip syncing and
girl, you know it's girl, you know it's girl, you know it's girl.
Yeah, it didn't work out well. But you know what? Those guys made me happy for that one decent night. Like I said, I had two, Dream a Little Dream and Milli Vanilli. That was my only good part of Minnesota. By the way, I don't know how anybody lives in Minnesota. To all you people there, why do you live there? It snows every day. Every woman I saw there was pregnant and had blonde hair. I've never seen anything like
because
this.
they're bored in Minnesota. That's why.
Yeah, well, there is honestly nothing else to do but just fornicate.
You have
Wait, what?
You asked why people live there?
Yes.
There's nothing to do but fornicate.
I guess that's it.
And wait, you have beautiful German, Scandinavian, and whatnot women all in the middle of
Minneapolis.
He didn't say beautiful.
No, I did not say beautiful. I said blonde. Although one of my favorite Minneapolis movies, and here's one of those things where I need to go back to Minneapolis probably to give it a fair chance to see Minneapolis St. Paul in another light. Because there's that movie with Christian Slater and what's her name? Marissa Tomei.
Mm.
she's a waitress, and he's like the busboy. He has like he thinks he has a baboon heart, but he really doesn't. He just has a bad heart. And that movie's so cool. They're wandering around and in the coolest place, and he lives like in like one of the bridges. Just it was so cool. I was like, I gotta give this city another chance because this looks so nice. And my memories of Minneapolis are so horrible, just dreadful. It's just such a terrible city. And so I think at some point I will give it another chance. I will not go in December or January, though. That will not happen.
No.
Yeah, no.
That's
I will go to Lake Minnetonka in like August.
I will cleanse in the waters.
Yes,
Lake
yes.
Minnetonka.
But yeah, Marissa Tomei is so cute in that movie. By the way, Marissa Tomei, greatest actress. I love Marissa Tomei. I have Gal Gadot, Marissa Tomei, and Cameron Diaz, my three favorites.
Untamed Heart.
Yes, Untamed Heart. Good job.
I had to look it up too because I'm like, I have no idea.
It's a good movie. Rosie Perez is in it. She's a lot of fun in that movie. Anything with Rosie Perez, she's kind of cute too. Especially then, she was really cute.
By the way, I was watching something. Apparently, every lawyer's favorite movie is My Cousin Vinny because it is the most.
It's a great movie.
But every lawyer, when they leave law school, they say My Cousin Vinny is probably my favorite legal movie because it actually probably, given the circumstances of what's happening in the movie, is probably the most authentic of court proceeding. Of like all, it has apparently all the rules of decorum and everything that you're supposed to follow or not follow. It's like the baseline movie. Like that's the one, the Paper Chase is all about getting you through law school. My Cousin Vinny is like apparently the Bible of the do's and do nots of legal procedure.
That's what all the Utes say.
The Utes, yes.
I was about to say, what about A Few Good Men or 12 Angry Men? Just a couple of those law.
A few good
Men is one of my absolute favorites.
It's a great film. However, I love this one page, The Legal Eagle on YouTube. He is so good. And he did a whole series about like these different movies and these law movies.
You can't handle the truth.
That whole scene would have you wouldn't have been able to pull something off like that. That would have, especially not in a military court where the rules are slightly different. But his whole thing about that movie was incredible writing. And again, you're not gonna, when it comes to Aaron Sorkin, you're not gonna see me complain about Aaron Sorkin and his screenplays. But he's like, there was too much out of that. The shouting would have never happened. He would have never disobeyed a judge like that. That especially in a military court. That being said, phenomenal movie, and it won't ever make me like it any less.
I was about to say I watched that on a flight to Seattle when I went on my cruise to Alaska, and I'm like, this is fucking phenomenal.
Nice. I am almost a month away. It's exactly. Just about a month away. I'm so excited to go to Alaska. Me and Lisa, we're trying to see. It was easier when you went because you knew you had to bundle up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there are nights it could go down to the 40s, but it could be as high as the 70s. So the clothing.
I don't think we can get as high as they were in the 70s.
Shut up, moron.
Rest in peace, Sly.
They didn't have R&B back then, man.
Though, hey, we are celebrating the life and legacy and ultimately the unfortunate demise of Sly Stone.
What does that have to do with my Alaskan cruise?
About getting high in the 70s.
Oh, well, I don't care.
I was reading one of the, while we were on the air, a certain Connecticut concert promoter promoted one concert for him in the 1970s. It was in Ohio in 1970. Sly showed up 3 hours late to perform. And after the show was over, the promoter was going backstage and saw a whole tub of Hellman's mayo, but there was not Hellman's mayo, nor was it sugar in this. Those mayo things are not small.
Wait, what is Jake saying? He does have entertaining, informative videos.
Oh, the Legal Eagle.
Okay. I was lost a little bit here. All right. I was trying to figure that out. By the way, it's 9:26.
Oh man.
Damn.
Wow, late.
Time fly when we have fun.
Fran, I don't doubt that. Minus the whole Vietnam thing. That probably wasn't fun. But
See, I think growing up in the
80s probably
was more fun. And
Vietnam's done. The Gulf
obviously-
Wars are coming, but not there.
No, being born in 65 is pretty cool because I miss Vietnam completely, right? That's, that's over in the early 70s. And by the late 70s, I'm in high school. Early 80s, I'm out of high school. I graduated college in 87. Hell, I'm married at 89. I mean, the 80s were my years. Those are my best, most fun years. The 80s were great. So I would say better than the 70s, in my humble opinion.
Wow, what the hell happened?
What?
But what happened?
Ah, there we go. Woo.
Oh, okay. So anyway, we need to do.
Wait,
promo.
that's one last of the awesome.
Oh wow, Nixon!
That's
is that why you
insane.
have all those
Hell of
Nixon stuffed dolls, Franna? Because you were so upset that he resigned on your 20th birthday.
Or you were so ecstatic that he
Resigned on your birthday.
your birthday. Was that the gift you were always looking for?
Those are beautiful
Fran has
sunflowers.
these stuffed
They are.
Nixons.
No,
that she
not
would pack
stuffed.
around. I know. I'm younger.
That they're paper mache. They're paper mache Richard Nixons.
Yes, they're great when she rides.
I
around.
love them. I think they're amazing. I am such a fan of the paper mache Richard Nixons. Everyone needs a paper mache Richard Nixon.
Right.
But
when someday, if you ever leave this house, which you're never going to, you could get your own paper mache.
paper mache Richard Nixon.
Yeah. And yeah, think how I feel, Chris. He's never leaving.
Who's the idiot who built a studio and an apartment?
Well,
By the way, I just realized this whole time we've been taking a journey through Roku City. And the mirror in my sister's bedroom. I'm coming up there with Windex. What the?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm looking at the mirror in my sister's bedroom here.
Did she left the TV on since she left?
Well,
Yeah.
no, the mirror. The mirror is disgusting.
Okay.
Once we are off the air, I am coming up there with freaking Windex.
Oh, Fran said she can make you a Nixon. All right, let's go over what are we doing this week. James, where were you at this week?
I'm actually not going to be in Connecticut this weekend, but I got my previous episode talking about the rodeo, talking about the NBA finals, talking about why I think this finals is not dog shit because it's two small market teams. It's actually going to be very exciting. But
The best.
yeah, next Monday might be a game time decision for me if I'm going to hop on because I will be driving with my fiance and her twin sister from Cleveland to here, and it's going to be like
That's
an 8-hour
right.
ride. So I might be
That's
a game
a
time
long
decision.
ride. I've done that ride,
Yeah.
Ugh.
especially in
Not fun.
Pennsylvania. That part,
That-
going to Pennsylvania, is so boring.
It-
Just stop in Dubois. Dubois, Pennsylvania. And that Six Flags, it's the last year it's ever going to be open, so you should stop there in Dubois.
in Dubois. Yeah. So
Dubois, Pennsylvania. I've stayed at that Hampton Inn. I can't tell you how many times.
And if it was Flava Flav going there, it'd be Du Boy.
Listen, Flava Flav is from Long Island, Freeport, New York. Went to school at Howard Stern.
Flav.
No, actually, Howard went to school at Rockville Center. But
I thought he went to Roosevelt.
he went, yeah. Well, no, actually, he graduated out of Rockville Center. Don't listen to his bullshit. He did go to Roosevelt for a little while, but he did not graduate. He graduated Rockville Center, but that's a whole other story. What else was I going to say? All right. So James, that's your deal. Monday, maybe we don't have a show. You know why, Cor?
Oh, aren't we? Isn't that convenient? Right? Weren't we not going to be able to, or it was going to be?
Well, I mean, we could if we stay here. We have to. So next week, there at the Jacob Javits Center is the B&H Audio Visual Convention Center show, where all the brands from all the things B&H sells are going to have booths, and we have some tickets for that.
Ooh,
So it
I
will be
love
kind of
that
cool.
one.
Zach from Postfix will be with us on this glorious adventure. So we have to decide if we're going to stay at a hotel in like Stanford Monday night and just take the train in, or does Zach stay here? We get up early in the morning and drive to Stanford,
No.
or we do something. Yeah, no,
No.
terrible.
By the way, yes, we're.
Do
By the way, it's the Build Expo, which started in 2023. The word "build," by the way, comes from the Yiddish word for image. I also find it very funny that B&H, which is run by the Chassids, B&H, Baruch Hashem, thank God.
Look at you teaching, and we're all learning. By the way, that's a nice Star of David. That is
Yep.
My grandpa brought that for me. So when I was a little boy, when I think I was like 7 or 8 years old, my grandpa gave me.
And the reason I decided to wear it tonight was because in all of the awesome pictures of Sly Stone, he is out there with the gigantic star. Every photo, him and Elvis, they big giant star. I'm like, you know what? Let me take my small one. That we're not doing honor to the blessed memory of Sly Stone if I'm only going with the little one. You know, that we got to go with that. And with that, no, can I do my album recommendation of the week?
Yes, and then I'll tell you where you're going to be.
Absolutely. So with that in mind, my album recommendation for this week, as we celebrate the life and legacy of Sly Stone, Sly and the Family Stone's album Stand. This, what you want to talk about, the fireworks, the pressure cooker of a generation coming to its boiling point and coming out with fire, charisma, soul, passion. They're talking about love. They're talking about war. They're talking about the government. They're talking about everything. Sly made it happen. He was a force of nature. The entire family Stone was a force of nature. And again, despite the heartaches and the tragedy that came with his life, we are so blessed to have been given such a discography and such a collection of music. So, Sly, thank you. As you said it, thank you for letting me be myself. Thank you for everything you gave all of us. Everyone needs to check. If you care about music, you want that perfect union between soul and rock and roll, this is the album to go with.
All right. Do you want me to tell people where you're going to be this week?
Absolutely.
So on Thursday, you will be, I believe, in the Cape with Cody Bondra and a duo doing the Tedesco Country Club. I believe you'll be there from 6 to 9 p.m.
Dilly. By the way, happy June 9th. Nice.
By the way, we do not have a gig Friday, believe it or not.
Wow. Look at that.
We do not have one Friday, but Saturday. So we have one Thursday. Saturday, we will be at the Bullpen at McRae's Farm in South Hadley, Massachusetts, which has really done a phenomenal job advertising all their cool stuff. I can't wait to eat there. It looks phenomenal. Their ice cream and stuff looks great. Their drinks, everything's going to be a blast. And then on the 15th, the Dilem duo will be at the Morris Country Golf Club in New Jersey for Father's Day. So we have 2 duo shows.
Your old stomping grounds.
Oh yes.
So no,
George Washington's old stomping grounds.
Absolutely. The last time I think we stayed at the Hyatt Regency in Morristown last time. So yeah, we Corey does have a lot of shows this week, just not on Friday. So you might see him in Collinsville. You never know.
Sure.
Or we could be practicing.
Or I could be taking the one Friday night I have until November, the end of November, and acknowledging it, appreciating it, or sleeping.
Or watching A Few Good Men for a while.
True.
Watch A Dream, a Little Dream. It's actually a good movie.
The Godfather 3.
I was gonna say, and of course, don't forget Under the Cherry Moon.
Oh,
Well, man, you could do the Star Wars Christmas special too.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
So, by the way, make
Special
sure
is the worst movie. That Shaw, I will never forgive you for that show.
Or what's that other movie you keep mentioning? Bingo, was it Bingo?
Bingo.
That's a great movie. Bingo
I know.
Long.
I had to put that out there because no one mentioned it.
Bingo Long, everybody. If you want to.
Oh
see
wait,
the
and
movie of all time with the great James Earl Jones
of blessed memory.
Yes.
Wait, by the way, because we
playing
need to.
Josh Gibson in that movie, by the way, and Billy D. Williams playing Satchel Paige. It's a great movie. Oh, and oh my God, greatest comedian of all time,
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor is also in the movie, and
Wow.
he is phenomenal in that. I just gave you Billy D. I gave you Darth Vader.
Oh, you gave us everything. You gave us everything. You were basically the Messiah.
Listen, great movie. You should watch it. Bingo Long's Traveling All Stars.
I mean, I'm gonna have a lot of time off since school ends on Wednesday. So
Yes.
So
And make sure everyone you keep
greatest baseball movies of all
you
time.
keep looking out when we have the Dilem-Monday Worst Films of All Time Film Festival in my backyard.
oh my God, that's a great idea. I love that.
Watch out for when we decide to do that on a random Monday or
giant 20-foot inflatable screen
Bring a lot
out by the pool.
bring a lot of beers because it's gonna be a long night watching shitty movies.
Electric Boogaloo. Yes, that was horrific. Oh my God, Janet Jackson, poor Janet, because she married that idiot after that movie for a day.
And who produced Janet?
Jimmy
Jam, Terry Lewis of the mother time.
By the way, one last time, who got inducted this last weekend?
Who got a star on the Walk of Fame in Hollywood? It's War. And guess who's going to war for war now to get into the Hall of Fame, not just the Walk of Fame? Let's make it happen. We got mother Warren Zevon into the Hall of Fame, damn it. How about some of the biggest hit makers of the 1970s, a group that probably would have never been able to go to the reaches they did without the influence of Sly and the Family Stone, by the way.
But didn't Jimmy Jam present them at the
Jimmy Jam absolutely presented War, their star, on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, not far from their old stomping grounds where those guys used to hang out and make it happen. So let it be known, let it be heard tonight, this 9th day of June. Nice. That I am going, and the campaign to get War into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is starting with
And
God
the
as my
original lineup.
witness to get the original lineup, only the original lineup, into the Hall of Fame where they belong.
Correct. All right. I think we've had a show. It's 9:40. We're 10 minutes over. What a shock.
Hell yeah. All right. Everybody, thank you for joining us. Catch us in 2 weeks when we talk about something.
All right.
We'll catch you all then. Good night.